All right, folks. I always start that whenever I do a video.
You with the all right,
all
folks.
Right. I don't know why I do this. I don't know any other way of starting off a video. But I'm Chaz Bryant, along with Joe Pacheco. This is our new first episode ever video podcast.
Heck yeah.
You're excited. You actually got with me about this idea.
Yeah.
Well, why did you do that? Why did you wake me out of my weekend slumber?
Well, I had nothing better to do, and I assumed that you had no life. So why not? No, seriously. I mean, I do enjoy our company and the conversations we do have. And I mean, who doesn't want to just sneak in on some of the stuff we talk about?
Yeah, and it's we haven't done this in a while, ever since we did the old Fight Lab fights, when we did commentating for that, and then just general conversations whenever we go to some of these shows. The conversation we have talking about the fights, the fighters, and stuff like that. It's mainly positive, but it's a lot of other stuff.
There's stuff from that mainly there, definitely.
Yeah. And now we're here in Charlotte, and I'm going to. The first question I have is just talking about MMA, the Charlotte region, North Carolina, and the Carolinas, because it's sort of been a drought, at least to me. Every time I post something, see something, I'll check out the North Carolina Boxing Commission's website, and there's like nothing on there around this area. What's your feelings about that?
I couldn't agree more with that. You go from having a fight almost every month, or at least every other month, to not having an event in almost 10 months in Charlotte. Is definitely a need for it. I know with everything going on behind the scenes with the promotions and stuff like that, it's been a little hectic, but dude, it's been sad.
It really has. I remember when I first started, and it's probably around the time you started coming up as an amateur, around that 2008, 2009. You could not, almost, if not every week, every other week, there would be an MMA event. If not just in Charlotte, but doing elite shows up in Hickory or something like that, or doing Ring of Dreams up in Greensboro, and maybe there'll be like a one-off show in Asheville. Raleigh had their own scene going with Durham, I guess, with Bull City, and then down in the coast there might be a CFP event,
right?
A warfare event. Sorry, Andy Hall, got my wubbles going on there, but it seemed like there was a lot of stuff happening, a lot of for a good 4 or 5 year stretch. You'll be bumping into guys, going up there, or having a conflict of not interest, but a conflict of scheduling. When I can maybe do the show up in Greensboro, this night, and have a buddy cover an event up in Raleigh or Charlotte, the same night. It was so it was hard doing this stuff, but now it's like, man, I got nothing to do on Saturday night.
It was, and just coming from looking at it, it's like I know competition, you want to compete with each other all the time. I want to see who's best. I want to see who's best. Instead of coming together and kind of being, a cohesive unit, because there's opportunity for everyone to be successful at a certain point in time. It's just now they started getting cutthroat, and people started holding stuff the same day, and you have that issue. Okay, well, do I go with my teammate here, or do I stay in Charlotte? Do I go up to Greensboro and go with an amateur? Do I go to warfare and go with a pro? It became hectic, man, and nobody won from that. I mean, it's obvious now, because now we have nothing going on. It's Elite's no longer around. They put on a great show. You want to talk about a great atmosphere there? It was really fun, and it's just it wasn't, because there was so much going on. This market couldn't take a $40 hit every weekend to pay for tickets.
And that's the thing. You alluded to that, and I guess I really didn't introduce myself all that much. I'm, like I said, Chaz Bryant. I did a lot of work with Elite when they're around, doing the video guide for them. I did a lot of work for Fight Lab, but I also had Carolina Warrior TV, which covered a lot of the stuff here in the region in North Carolina.
You want to see some interesting interviews, you definitely want to check that out.
Yeah, and it was fun, and you're just alluding to that, and that's why I'm no authority on MMA. I liked working with watching the amateurs and now the local pros come up. I could really care less about the UFC. Whenever you're in Bellator or some of the local guys are in Bellator, I root for that. But unless I'm just flipping through on a Friday night or something like that, I'm not sitting there watching Bellator, not no name guys, but guys I really have no contact with. That was always my thing, of making sure the guys who are locally got their recognition. So if I am sort of have any bit of credibility, it is trying to bring up those guys. But as far as the fighting aspect, I'm going to leave that to you. But it was fun whenever we had elites in conflict, not elite in fight lab, you know, jockeying to me for fighters in the local market, because then it does become competitive, and you sort of have to bring your game up. You know, how you can promote who's getting the best fighters on such and such card, right? Because, you know, Marcelo and Cornbread, and this is a good thing about Cornbread. They're both going for great fights, great guys around the area, and great fights. And, you know, you would have Fight Lab on one weekend, maybe Elite next weekend or 2 weekends afterwards. And you saw some really good guys and really great fights come out of that rivalry and competition. You came out of that.
That's true. I really did. I fought for both promotions. I even fought for, well, my first fight was at Ring of Dreams. Yeah. And it's just not having those outlets anymore. You know, it's even, like I said, for the average person that lives in Charlotte, we have to work, you know? Yeah. And let's see, if we go in a 2 month span, there's 4 fights in those 2 month spans. That's $150 to $200 for fights. When it's coming on TV free, you can go to a bar and see it free. You know, granted, you do have that connection with people, but then it becomes taxing on them. So it's like, okay, hey man, you go consume fight, man, I can't afford it this week, but I got you next time. Yep. And then it gets into that thing of where now no one is feeding off of it. Instead, it just, I think if it would have been maybe once a month, then that would have had, because then you could have a lot of money. Okay, I put $40 a month for this, and then you'll still have that same crowd. Because I mean, I started coming to the fight labs. We were still at the epicenter on the downstairs. I didn't get to ones that were up at the top, but there was a huge crowd. And then as the market got saturated, it was less and less and less people showing up. And it's just like you were saying, it becomes hard, because now you have a fight this weekend or the fight in 2 weeks, and it's like, okay, so my rent's due. Yeah. Which one do I go see? I want to go see this one, or do I go? It became really hectic, and it's really hard for the general fan to do that. Yeah. And
it's funny how everything sort of circles back in the wheel of life, I guess. One of your amateur fights was, I'm trying to think of, do I want to say the name of the hotel to get myself in trouble? But you fought at one of the hotels in Uptown Charlotte. Yeah. Fast forward a couple of years later, or 2 years ago, I get a job working at the same hotel. I work for an AV company up there. So, and I remember it was, I can probably stand in the same spot. I believe you knocked out, was it Cliff Thompson? Yeah. At that fight. Yep. For Elite. So now I work at that hotel. I'm not going to say the name of the hotel to get myself in trouble.
No free plugs.
No free plugs. They're not giving any money to me right now.
But since we are talking about free plugs, Lunatic Havoc. That's where we're at right now. Great gym. That's where I train at, and Brett still trains there as well. So we have jiu-jitsu, a little bit of boxing, bags, cage, a whole nine.
There's your free plug.
There it is.
You don't get paid for it. You pay yourself.
Exactly.
The one thing, since we are talking about gyms, one of the things, and it's funny, one of our mutual friends had up a video of a young guy trying to hold pads. I'm not going to get into that right now, but one of the things it sort of annoys me, and I guess you can talk about it being a coach for all these years that you've been out of fighting professionally now, it is one, that's got to be one of the biggest annoyances for you, that seeing these young guys think, okay, you've got backyard basement training, you can now step in a professional cage, and now it's on your record. Nobody cares about you having 12 street fights. Nobody gives a shit. And I can say this in what protector, I'll put up some sort of things for parental
to hell with your disclaimers.
Nobody cares about you having 12 street fights and thinking you can hit pads with your buddy in your mom's basement or in your backyard. You have to get good training somewhere. What is one of your bigger pet peeves as a trainer?
That, you know, I mean, no joke. Day one, coming to the gym. Yeah, man, I can fight. I've been doing this. I've been doing that. Here, hold some mitts for me. Man, do you know how long it takes to actually get mitt work done correctly? Mitt work is not even how you build technique. Mitt work is how you how you perfect it. Mitt work is how you pick up that speed. You have to spend hours upon hours in the bag. And, you know, I learned that the hard way with my first coach, Phil Wills. That was it. It was you're going to be in the bag. I don't care what you see on TV. You are not getting mitt. It is a privilege to get mitt work. And you can see from that video, to get proper mitt work should be that way.
And I think that's one of the downfalls, or one of the bad sides about MMA becoming so popular. That guys think, okay, they may see a video on YouTube, they may watch TV and think, oh yeah, I can do that. Just me and my buddy JoJo over here just gonna, you know, hit some pads and I'm gonna throw down. And God bless, you gotta have, to me, all the phases to be a well-rounded fighter. You gotta have your boxing, you gotta have your wrestling or jiu-jitsu. There's probably some other stuff I can't think of on the top of my head while doing this, trying to do this live. Yeah, there's other stuff in there. But at least get those basics to be a well-rounded fighter. If you think just holding pads or hitting pads, that's how far you're going to go.
That's the beauty of the ignorance of this sport. It really is, because unless you're on the inside, or you know what's going on, know what's done correctly, you have no idea.
Yeah.
Like, you know, let's say you know what's right and wrong because you've been around it for so long, right? If I go to work, I work at a nice bank around here.
I think you just let yourself go right there.
No.
And I'm in it.
I work at a bank.
Yeah.
And I swear, it's the same thing. So you fight, oh man, look, is this technique any good? And it looks like they're fighting ghosts. I mean, it is bad. My 7-year-old daughter flails better than they do. And
that's really what it looks like.
Yes, and they think, once again, in my mind, I look like Floyd Mayweather. Yeah. Reality is, I look like a drowning duck. And it's we all have that little delusion. We all like to believe that we do something far greater than what we really do. And we surround ourselves with yes men and people who say, yeah man, that video with that one rapper, Young Thug, have you seen him give mitts?
Yeah.
That, and has his, yeah man, that looks good. Oh my God. Oh my, no wonder people are running around shooting each other because they can't fight.
Yeah.
And it blows my mind, because in his mind, I'm telling you, he's a one-hitter quitter.
Yeah.
But reality is far from it.
Yeah.
But that's even like society today. Everybody wants to jump to the end and not work their way to it.
Yeah. You just can't start on the top and think you're, you know, here's your heavyweight championship contender fight. You know, even doing this little rinky-dink thing where I'm using, you know, odds and ends equipment and stuff like that, I'm not going straight to ESPN after this show. I have no illusions in my
With that
mind.
gold mic, you might though.
Yeah. This gold mic was bought off of like some Chinese website for like $10. This thing can break right in the middle of the show.
But it'll look good.
It might look good, but it's so damn cheesy. I don't know why it's gold colored and blue. But I have no illusions that, you know, even as long as I've been doing the video stuff, you know, there's probably 30 other guys around this area with better equipment than I do, and probably have an even better preparation than, you know, writing crap down on a piece of paper. You sort of have to have some sort of mental state in mind that you got to work, just like you said, you got to work to your goal. That doesn't mean right now him hitting pads, those guys hitting pads that we saw in the videos this week, can't become something better, but just don't think at that moment, that time, you're something
that you're not.
Yeah, and you're going to have some sort of gold medal. You know, like I said, I have no illusion.
And instead of the guy holding mitts saying, nah, man, let's chill on the video and let's work on getting this right. But you know what? I think the guy holding mitts knows less than the dude throwing the punches.
More than likely that, because you're getting your buddies who probably have no other experience either than, you know, what they were talking about beforehand, sitting on the mom's sofa.
Yep.
Oh yeah, you can do that, bro. You can do that, yeah. Because we'd watch, you know, a half marathon of The Ultimate Fighter, which again is another thing that sort of pissed me off. And it's for a good thing, but pissed me off the sport that, you know, you think you're going to go on The Ultimate Fighter after, even pros think they can go to The Ultimate Fighter after 5 or 6 fights.
Yeah, and they go, even with that, they go more for personality than talent.
Yeah.
Really, they have maybe 2 or 3 people that are like top level out of the thousands that try out, and everybody else are just basket cases.
Yeah.
Make good television.
Yeah, it makes for good television, and that's probably what it is, that they think they're just going to get on television, and So I think that my thing, and especially again going back to the gym type thing, and we're new at doing this right now, but you sort of have to find. Whenever you do start, and those guys who are holding pads and throwing the hands in the videos and stuff like that, you sort of have to find a gym that fits your personality. I think that's one thing that people miss about that. It's it's bad to say people are gym hoppers. I guess it's bad whenever you start getting later in your career, if you start wanting to hop gyms. But if you're a newbie and you want to fight, you don't know where to start. Sometimes being a gym hopper isn't that bad of an idea.
No, it's just like test driving a car. Yeah. You don't know how the chemistry is there. You don't know how you'll fit in. You don't know what the dynamic is of that particular gym. You don't even know if that'll be what you want to do. Mm-hmm. Let's say if you have a boxing background and you want to just do strictly boxing. You sure don't want to go to a gym that's a Taekwondo gym and does a lot of kicks and a lot of flying stuff and stuff like that. It's different. The first thing I'll say about people who want to train, get ready to pay.
Yeah.
The days of free training, far gone. And you can't live in your house without paying rent.
Yeah.
So you expect to get this skill set from somebody in their facility for free, for nothing.
That's not going to happen?
No. No.
So they're not charities, is what you're saying?
No, it's not. It's a lot of the guys who do teach. I'm talking to the guys of good merit. Rodney Wallace, Ricky Rainey, myself, Johnny Buck. Just to name a few. Keith. You're talking about guys who actually put years and put themselves in a position to learn from some of the best in the world, to know what it takes to get to the next level. All the ones I just named been to the next level. Rodney Wallace has been to every level. It's overseas. He's been to the UFC, Bellator, everywhere. And those are the type of people you want to pay and learn from. You can't sit there and say, "Hey, I'm gonna go be a mechanic and go work at a shop," and then not expect them to pay you or expect you to pay to get that education. You can't go to college and say, "I'm gonna get a free education," unless you get a grant.
Yeah.
And nobody can do that.
Hell, you got to work for the grant anyway.
Exactly.
You got to put in the extra time.
You can't. And then, and then the ones that do get it for free or do get the grant show up late. The ones that are disrespectful, the idiots.
And that circles back to what we talked about earlier. Having the proper attitude too, whenever you come in these type of places. I've certainly had my bad days when I come to the gym, and sometimes I've been able to work it out mentally and say, okay, I put this aside. Or some days you just come in and you're like pissed off, but you just can't come in there thinking you're some God's gift to local MMA
or MMA in general.
Yeah, MMA.
The gym or the dojo, whatever you want to call it, that's your sanctuary, man. Never any other time somebody's held anything so true that leave all your transgressions and drama at the door, because there's so much going on. You can't think about it. When you're sparring with a teammate, you don't have that luxury of thinking about, man, I wonder if my girl's gonna cook for me tonight. Because by that time you get punched in the face.
Yeah.
And you should be able to release all that animosity, all that anger in a positive light by training and doing that. By the time you leave your training session, whatever you're doing, grappling, striking, you should be relaxed. It should be, man, I'm good. All right, whatever. I'll get over it. It'll be done. And it's the way it should be. Now, if you come in volatile and you mess up the whole atmosphere of the gym, then you're going to be looked at sideways every now and again. They're going to look for a reason to get you out of there.
Yeah. I think we're under almost time constraints now. This 20 minutes, and we wanted to keep it at 20 minutes because a lot of people just don't have the attention span.
No, nobody wants to see us for that long.
I don't either. So I think our time is up. We'll have to do this again next week. Depends on what our response is. So make sure people...
to hell with the response. I don't give a damn if one person sees it. We're going to do this again.
We're changing the world one video at a time.
Just like you said, we got to work our way up to where we want to get to.
So next time we'll have maybe 2 people watch this.
Maybe 2 people outside of us.
Do we even have a name for this thing?
You know what? No, I don't know.
You never, whenever we were going back and forth, you never did mention.
Hey, man.
You just said come in, have some paperwork in the camera, and start talking, I guess.
The idea was just to get here and do it, have fun doing it, and fuck it.
I think we accomplished that. I think I'll put this on the Carolina Warrior TV platform, though.
Absolutely. By the way, I'm Joe Pacheco. I did not say
I was going to say, you want to go over your resume real quick?
Sure. All right. Pro fighter, Bellator vet. Fought in the old school Bellator when they had the tournament twice.
In Charlotte. It was in Charlotte.
My first fight was in Charlotte. The first, both the tournament fights were in California. Wrestling, high school wrestling champ, purple belt under Real American Grappling, checkmate Charlotte. Michael Allen, the bread, so don't hit me. Spent a lot of time striking over the last course of 6 to 7 years because I sucked at it, to be totally honest, when I first came into it. Because speaking of that, I remember my first fight. I can remember sitting there and fighting, and halfway through the first round, I could hear my coach and hear people in the stands, "Hey, you know you can punch him, right?" Oh yeah, it's the little stuff. But that's really it. I enjoy instructing. I enjoy talking. I enjoy shooting the shit.
And doing it all here at Lunatic
Havoc.
Lunatic Havoc MMA. All right, that's enough time. People are starting to sleep now.
All right. Wake your asses up.
Appreciate it.